Um, Thank you to everyone for joining us remotely from wherever you are. And thank you so much for your support to the National Indo-American Museum over the years. Thank you for your donations to NIAM. It has brought us a long way to where we are here today. Now, the uncertainties and the nature of the pandemic, the health risks involved have prompted us to take a decision to host what would have been an in-person event to this virtual platform that brings us here today. So thank you for accommodating and for joining us. Welcome to the annual Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebrations hosted by the Consulate General of India, Chicago, in association with the National Indo-American Museum, or NIAM. My name is Beverly Furtado Kumar. I'm a board member with NIAM. I'd like to welcome our... I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'd like to welcome our host, the Honorable Consul General of India, Chicago, Mr. Amit Kumar. Mr. Amit Kumar is a career diplomat, and he joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1995. He has a wide-ranging experience, having served in headquarters and in several Indian missions abroad. He has dealt with both bilateral and multilateral work in diverse areas such as political, strategic, and economic spheres. Now, prior to taking up his current assignment as the Consul General of India in Chicago, he was the Deputy Chief of Mission in the Embassy of India in Washington, D.C. with ambassador rank. A short little anecdote. Now, Mr. Amit Kumar and his wife, Mrs. Surabhi Kumar, have traveled to and lived in several corners of the world. But interestingly, wherever they have lived, they've always made sure to create a small part of India for themselves, thus ensuring that they remain rooted in their culture, their ethnic identity, and to the community. And just like his predecessor before him, Mr. Kumar has always been connected and involved with NIAM's many programs. In fact, when he heard about the tremendous work that we've been doing with the Oral History Project, he was deeply interested. We have not gone live with the project as yet, but he was very encouraging that we should present on the occasion of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, and so it brings us here today to this presentation. It is our honor and pleasure to welcome the Consul General of India, Chicago, Mr. Amit Kumar. And I'm going to request everyone, if you haven't muted yourself already, please put yourselves on mute. Over to you, Mr. Amit Kumar.
Thank you very much, Beverly, for those kind words. I warmly welcome everybody who has joined us virtually today to this event being organized in association with NIAM in the backdrop of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas and the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. As we all know, government marks the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas on 9 January every year to celebrate the contribution of the overseas Indian community in the development of India. For those who might not know, January 9 was chosen to mark this occasion since it was on this day in 1915 that Mahatma Gandhi had returned to India from South Africa after 20 years, and you all know he changed the course of our history. Briefly, we believe that there are around 600,000 Indian Americans in the 9 states of the US Midwest that this consulate covers, ensuring smooth services to them and engaging them in several activities of the consulate is a key priority for us. This year we are also celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate the 75th anniversary year of our independence, the consulate is organizing a series of events highlighting not only India's rich cultural diversity, significant milestone in our nation's journey, a vibrant partnership with the US, as well as recognizing the significant contribution of the Indian diaspora in our development back home. It has been our endeavor to also actively involve local diaspora organizations and members in our outreach activities. The recent US Census has confirmed what we knew all along, which is that the 4.4 million strong Indian American community is the fastest growing group as well as the most well-to-do group in this country. The community has excelled in several diverse areas. It is breaking new grounds in areas such as law enforcement, judiciary, media, and competitive sports. More Indian Americans are today running for public offices. The community was prominently at the forefront in their response to COVID-19 pandemic, both locally and in reaching out to fellow Indian citizens. As the government's, as the government of India's chief representative in the US Midwest, it gladdens my heart to see the Indian American community do so well and to be with you to celebrate your success. Even more heartwarming is your concern, solidarity, and support towards accomplishing development goals in India. You all have created a positive image of India in this country, and this, in a sense, opens new doors for us at the consulate. Beverly has briefly mentioned about my interest in the project, and let me try to explain why I think this is of such critical importance. The Indian American community, if you see them today, they are, of course, much more comfortable and confident about their Indian identity. But this was not always the case. The first generation of Indian Americans in this country who came here in the 1950s till 1970s or even till mid 80s had to struggle hard to make a mark in their adopted country. When we look at the presence of Indian restaurants, places of worship, or easy availability of Indian groceries or Indian cultural classes, we sometimes forget or find it difficult to imagine how life would have been for the first generation of Indian Americans here. Most of them had very limited means. They did not see familiar faces, had no friends, very often faced language barriers. Some only ate vegetarian food, had no easy way to communicate back home. They did not have any social or cultural or community support to fall back on. They additionally overcome several prejudices while working and settling in a largely unfamiliar country. Yoga and Indian classical dance and art forms that we find today with far greater acceptance today is all due to the strenuous efforts of many committed individuals. They all persevered and paved the way for the success of the Indian American community. It is therefore important, in my view, to document that journey, to connect to that collective past memory to gain a better understanding of the present. It is equally important for the younger generation of Indian Americans to understand the history of their forefathers in this country. It will also provide fresh perspective and insights, I believe, in addressing some of the contemporary challenges that the community faces. I therefore believe that NIAM's mission of documenting the struggles, the history of Indian American immigration, and important contemporary developments shaping their lives here in the US is an exceedingly critical one. I do look forward to hearing more about their oral history project presentation today. I would like to also wish NIAM all success in this exceedingly important endeavor. I do hope that they will not only set a template for other regions, but will also expand their footprint beyond the Chicagoland area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Consul General, for highlighting the importance of the Oral History Project and the work that NIAM is doing in immigrant histories. And now over to NIAM's president, Devin Kane.
Thank you, Beverly. And thank you again to the Consul General for giving us this opportunity to showcase the National Indo-American Museum and what we do. So what does NIAM do? The National Indo-American Museum builds bridges across generations and connects cultures through the diverse stories of all Indian Americans. Traditionally, museums are conservatories to collect, preserve, and showcase historical artifacts. Now, NIAM uses fresh and innovative ways to connect with audiences through its exhibitions, programs, and publications, as we continue to document, collect, and share the evolving Indian American story. Our first museum center opened last year in the village of Lombard to reach the Indian American community and the citizens of Lombard, Chicagoland, and beyond. Through art, culture, historical experiences, and outreach programs, we aim to be a truly inclusive community organization. The National Indo-American Museum started from a conceptual stage in the 1990s. And then we formally organized as a 501c3 in 2008. Since then, we operated as a virtual museum, and over the years grew through our collaboration with many museums, art, educational, and cultural institutions. And that includes the Field Museum, the Smithsonian, the Chicago Cultural Alliance, and other entities. And as I mentioned, we reached the next stage of our growth last year with the opening of the Umang and Paragi Patel Center in Lombard. And now, since opening the center with the Emerge exhibition, and you will hear more about the exhibition in a bit, we have also hired a full-time executive director. And next, we will go live with the launch of the Oral History Project in March. So I want to take a few minutes to highlight our Oral History Project, because it ultimately, as the Consul General also mentioned, it speaks to the essence of our mission as a museum in collecting and preserving immigrant stories. Now, the cornerstone of our virtual museum was established in summer 2008. And as you remember, that is when we formally organized as a 501c3. In summer 2008, at the home of our board member, Dr. Raja Nadimpalli, who's also in the audience today, when we recorded oral histories on 40 video cassettes. And that tells you how long ago this began, video cassettes. This sprang from the idea that every community should be empowered to tell its own stories. Now, the first image on this slide is of our founding member, Jan Agarwal, who's also in the audience today, leaving his home in India in 1954 with a grand send-off. And the other images give you a snapshot of how they decorated their homes and the clothing they adopted in America. So ultimately, the Oral History Project aims to collect these stories, transcribe them into a digital format, and make them accessible to the public. So after the initial 2008 project, which was a little more ad hoc, we then moved to a more structured project with proper equipment, training of interviewers, with the Masala Chat project in 2016, with 26 recordings to collect the personal narratives of founding members of Chicago's Indian American community. They represent the first wave of immigration from India to Chicagoland, who came before 1980. Then in 2020, we launched the At-Risk Oral History Collection from the realization that we need to capture all the voices that are fading away. There are so far about 20 recordings sharing their journey from India to how America came to be called their home. This at-risk group also includes the younger generation of recent migration, pioneers who, in their own right, who have now planted the roots firmly in America and in Chicago. These new Americans represent diverse professions, religious beliefs, language, and regional origins. And ultimately, it's a testament to America's pluralism that anchors the ties they share with the motherland, India, and now the new homeland, America. NIAM's goal is to expand this to include a wider circle and a much larger cross-section of Indian Americans. What we have done so far is just the beginning of this process. So how did we go about the process of collecting, documenting, and then preserving these immigrant stories? Our interviewers were trained and then given special equipment to record oral histories in the comfort of the home of the interviewees. And we have tried to make these recordings museum quality recordings. Now, as you all know, recently COVID has been a challenge. And in the pandemic era, these interviews, we have conducted them with COVID safety protocols in mind. We have interviewed supporters, board members, and then we use community outreach using predetermined criteria. Indian American immigrants who arrived before 1980 for the Masala chat, and then subsequently the people who came after that but were deemed more at risk for their stories to be lost. Now, a project like this requires investment in infrastructure, and both in terms of time and money. This project was made possible by a very generous grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation. Padma Rangaswamy, our past president, who is also a historian, served as our project leader. And you can see on this slide some of the other members of the team and the vendors who provided us with the expertise to build out the site, which, as Beverly mentioned, will go live in March. And there are some other contributors as well who are not on the slide. So this has truly been a group effort. And speaking of the site, at this time, I would like to hand this over to Jitesh Jaggi, who is our programs manager, and as you saw on the slide, has been intimately involved with the process, and he served as an interviewer to give you a demonstration of the site that will be going live. Jitesh?
Sure. Thank you, Devin. Hi, everyone. Welcome again. My name is Jitesh Jaggi. I'm the office manager and program coordinator for the National Indo-American Museum. Really excited to actually give you a little glimpse to this audience. Just to let you know, this gathering is the first who will get to see our landing page, our website. You are literally the first. So I want to quickly take you through that. As you can see, this is the landing page. We call this whole thing, this whole project basically First Voices, first representing the early first wave of immigrants who came from India to America, India and neighboring countries to America, and made this their new home. Voices, because this is specifically oral histories in their own voices, in their own stories told by themselves. As you can see, you have seen this picture before. This is our board member, actually, Gyan Agarwal, getting a nice send-off from his hometown when he left the country in the late 50s. If you scroll down, you will see the Masala Chat project, which began in 2016. This is one of the interviewees, also, I believe, present in the audience, Mrs. Mohini Pai. The entire landing page has been made in a very user-friendly, accessible manner. We have made sure that it is easy to access for everyone. And when you scroll downwards, you see the at-risk stories, the more recent ones that I have conducted interviews for. This is also one of our board members, Mrs. Sujaya Rupani, holding a picture of ourselves when she first migrated to the country. These buttons that you see here, very prominently displayed, when you click on these, it will take you deeper into how many interviews we have and get you to see and hear these voices and actually access the oral histories. And if you would allow me, I would give you a very quick demo. So let's pick the Masala Chat project, the first one. Explore, that's all you got to do. Just click on it. Very easy to load. And when you scroll downwards, you will see all these names. And if you're confused where to start, we have these little descriptions to kind of whet your appetite for these. So today I have prepared for you one little clip from Miss Hina Banerjee. You click on that and you can see this short clip. Let's take a look first. This is Hina Banerjee holding a picture of herself when she first immigrated here. This short clip, I would like you to listen to it. It's just a minute long, and you will see these transcriptions that are auto-generated. They will match the audio clip just like you were watching a movie and the subtitles are running through. There you go.
I got married in 1954. My husband applied for a fellowship and he got the fellowship from Penn State University. There was no plane flying at that time, so we had to go by boat. When we set sail from Bombay to Suez Canal, that Madagascar island, the captain comes and says, close all your windows and stay inside, because the pirates from there, they climb up the boats and they rob you. Sometimes they even kill you. We were scared to death. And when the boat stopped there, it had to stop. We were looking through the windows and lo and behold, there were pirates climbing up the boat. So we all locked our doors and stayed indoors. The next morning, it set sail from there to Suez Canal.
There it is. If this doesn't motivate you to kind of check out the full story, I don't know what else will, but worry not. When you scroll down, you can see the entire interview accessible just the same. And these transcriptions will keep playing automatically along with it. I have been very, very lucky to hear some of these stories in person. When you scroll down, just quickly, I want to introduce this feature. This map that you see, it basically points out to the origin, to their origin region where these interviews are immigrated from. So in this case, it's Dhaka, but we kind of group wherever they originate from, and then we display that on the map. It kind of gives you a nice glimpse of all the diversity that we have represented. And that's pretty much it. This project, this landing page will go live, like Beverly said, in March 2022. And with that, I would like to invite Beverly again.
Thank you so much, Jitesh and Devin. That is very interesting. And I'm sure that everyone is just waiting, looking forward to March of 2022 when this is going to go live. It's going to be live on the website, at which, like Jitesh said, the interviews, the transcripts, and the maps will be available for you to navigate through. It is very easy, very user-friendly, and very intuitive. There are plans, there are future plans, which I cannot disclose too much at this point, but there are future plans of an interactive in-person display at our museum space. So that's something else to look forward to. Our oral history project is not one and done. It's an ongoing project to collect, to document, to showcase immigrant stories, making it a permanent feature of our digital collections. We can move on. Yes, all right. So NIAM has a year-round calendar of very, very diverse programs and offerings for everyone. And in keeping with these changing times, we have transitioned a lot of these programs onto the virtual platforms. So here's a very brief snapshot of our offerings that I'm going to be sharing with you. The Ethnic Dialogue are presentations that focus on the identity, on cultural and social dynamics, on the migration, the geography, the histories. It explores the life of the community and the common ground shared by Americans of all ethnicities. Now, these are customizable presentations that we do for cultural organizations, for educational institutions, and for other museums. Sacred sites are, Jitesh, you can move forward. Yes, right there, thank you. Sacred sites are explorations of major religions that are practiced by Indian Americans. The practices, the beliefs, the traditions, the histories of these faiths. As the Consul General mentioned, there are more than 4.4 million Indian Americans, and most of these are actually practicing Hindus. But our programs are meant to be educational, informative, and inclusive. So the virtual version of these programs include are actually interactive, participative discussions that are led by spiritual and community leaders from across the United States. So very, very representative. All right, the Gandhi Peace Program. This is something very close to Jitesh's heart and mine too. It was developed for grades 1 to 5 elementary school students of the Chicago public schools. This is based on the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. This actually influenced civil rights movements around the world, right? We all know that. It influenced civil rights leaders like Nelson Mandela, and right here in the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. So the teachings of this curriculum focuses on conflict resolution, on nonviolent practices, on mindfulness, on well-being and health, through the practices of, through the methodology of art, through meditation, and through storytelling. And here again, once again, I have to thank the Consul General, because they have been actually sharing a virtual version of this curriculum at several of their events. So thank you very much. And I must put a word out here to you, our audience and supporters. We have a 20-minute virtual presentation of this curriculum that is available, that we can bring to you, to your communities, to your school district. And if you would like us to share that with you, please contact our program coordinator, Jitesh Jaggi, at info@niam.org, info@niam.org. And we would love for a chance to partner with you. In fact, we are bringing this and launching this in the Lombard School District very soon. In fact, Jitesh is happy, has just shared that in the chat right now, I can see. All right, moving on. The Taste of India is one of our very, very popular programs. It includes tours and food walks through the very popular, very colorful Devon marketplace, right? Everyone knows Devon Street, but it also includes the history and the development of the Westridge area from the very first influx of immigrants that came here after the First World War, then the Second World War, and then the immigrants from the Indian subcontinent in the mid-1900s. Now, the highlight of this program is when participants get to sample popular Indian street food from various restaurants. My mouth is watering. But we also have a virtual version of this program that has become very, very popular. And in this virtual version of the program, we partner with chefs and restaurants from across the United States. We get to hear their immigrant stories, their journey, and how they have coped and how they have managed to stay afloat during these times, while also they teach us to prepare some of their signature dishes. So it's very interesting. Emerge, Art of the Indian Diaspora, was launched on October 16th of 2021. It features contemporary emerging artists of the Indian diaspora, Indian American artists. And it we're open every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be opening on weekdays soon. And it runs all the way through March 27th of 2022. So if you haven't caught this exhibition as yet, here is your chance to go and witness the amazing works of art. Now, we put out, in fact, every week, we put out 2 or 3 artist spotlight series on our social media, through our email newsletters, on our website. In fact, each artist has an artist page on our website, which you must check out at www.niam.org. So, or if you prefer social media, you can follow us there. Why is all of this so important? Well, for me personally, my husband Sanjeev and I are first generation Indian immigrants to this country, right? And as you know, Consul General Mr. Amit Kumar had stated, you know, people who came a long time ago did not have access to so many things. So we are very grateful for the many opportunities that we got that many people who came before us did not have. But we also know that we have a very important role to play in shaping this changing landscape and in giving back to the community. And one day we will have a story to tell as well. That is why NIAM has such a vital role to play in keeping these connections and these living histories alive. So this is where you come in. Your donations, your support will go a long way in keeping the work that we do, in helping the work that we do. www.niam.org/donate. Thank you so much. And over to our president, Mr. Devin Khane.
Thank you again, Jitesh Jaggi and Beverly Kumar, for that wonderful presentation of the Oral History Project and also what we do with our other programs. Now you can see why we are excited about the Oral History Project, and you saw in the snapshot the effort that is going to curate the data on the site. And in addition to the recordings, I think everybody's enjoyed the transcriptions, and that obviously is very labor intensive. And we are looking to expand the content on that site and produce the high level quality recordings and interviews that you will find when the site goes live. And eventually our goal is also to make this available in some sort of electronic exhibit and a more permanent exhibit at the Umangan Paragi Patel Center in Lombard. And obviously, we are excited with the opportunity that the Patel Center in Lombard gives us. It's going to be the host of many of our events and the flagship programs that Beverly just highlighted for you. And it gives us the opportunity to work with various community organizations and have a more consistent flow of events there. And it's basically a blank canvas on which we can project a lot of the stories and the events and the cultural interactions of the Indian American community. Now, the Consul General took words out of my mouth when he mentioned making this a model to replicate across the country, and that is exactly our goal. Our goal is to make the center a model that can be replicated across the United States as we document the story of the Pravasi Bharatiya in America. Now, if you have not already done so, we hope you come to Lombard to see the Emerge exhibition. It is a wonderful exhibition with high quality artworks. I think you'll be very impressed. If you have already done so, please do come again. We would love to have you there. Now, many of you are our loyal supporters who have helped bring us to this part of our journey, and we hope you continue to support us going forward. If you wish to contact us, the slide gives you the contact information of how you can reach us and the email and website information. It also gives you a donation link, which will be very appreciated. If you have any questions, please email us at info@niam.org. please follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other sites. And we will be making this presentation available online for any of you, if you know anybody who couldn't join us today and would be interested. So when that is available, we will circulate a link, and please do forward that link with anybody you think will be interested. Because this museum ultimately is a collaborative process. We have the work out, it ultimately, it's you, our supporters, who help give us the resources that keeps this museum alive. So I sincerely thank all of you who took the time to join us this afternoon. I once again would like to thank Consul General Amit Kumar. He has been a steadfast supporter of the museum, and we are very grateful to him for giving us this opportunity. Thank you again, everybody, and have a great weekend.
No, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining in. As I've already mentioned, I find this exceedingly important initiative from the community, and I do hope that more people, more members of the Indian community will get to know about this initiative. And with the I think launch of a permanent facility for you last October, I think it will also, I think, in a way supplement your efforts to reach out to a wider audience. And through this webinar and subsequent joint events, I think we'll also work towards that end. I can just share here that there is. When I had just come in, there was very strong interest in a similar initiative from one of the other states, and there's somebody, I will maybe connect him to you all if there is continuing interest. That gentleman is ready to commit some resources, but so he of course, from his perspective, he started to from the contribution of the Indian community in that particular state, but maybe you can share your experience and it might lead to some new activity there as well.
Yes, that will be wonderful.
And of course, it's very good to see so many friends from the community, as well as board members from NIAM whom I had the occasion to meet in October. So it's again good to see all of you again. And I do hope to, once the COVID situation calms down a little, we'll hope to see you all in person also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.